Good morning. A very warm welcome to everyone joining us today. It is truly heartening to see principals, vice principals, teachers, counselors, and educators from across the country come together for a conversation that touches the core of what we do every day, supporting our students, not just academically, but emotionally and humanly. Today's webinar on psychological first aid is a special because it focuses on something deeply real. In our schools, we meet children who are anxious, confused, overwhelmed, or simply having a difficult day. And very often, the first comforting voice they hear is ours, apart, of course, from their family and the parents. The first safe space outside their own confines is their classrooms. That makes our role incredibly important. And we are honored to have with us Professor Dr. Daya Pant, whose decades of experience in working with children and adolescents bring depth and authenticity to the session. She has retired as head of department and faculty member of the Department of Educational Psychology and Foundations of Education NCRT. We also extend our warm regards to Dr. UNB Rao, who's not present with us, but he has put in a lot of effort into bringing all this endeavor together, and whose vision for youth well-being has guided so much meaningful work in this field. Uh, Maybe we'll interact with him in the later sessions that we'll be having. This session will help us understand simple, practical ways to notice distress, listen with empathy, and connect students to the right support, all with compassion and without judgment. These are skills that make a world of difference to a child who is struggling. On behalf of CBSE, I thank each one of you for taking out the time to be here early morning. Your presence shows your commitment to caring for students, not just as learners, but as young human beings finding their place in the world. I look forward to a heartfelt and enriching session together and discussion together. We'll be opening up the chat. Put in your queries, whatever you want to ask Dr. Pant once her session is over, and we would be going full throttle into the interactive mode also. Now I would just hand over the session and the floor to Dr. Pant. Ma'am, over to you, and thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for putting in a kind word for me. And uh, welcome to all the listeners. It's my privilege, really, to be interacting with all the youngsters and on such an important topic, so close to my heart, psychological first aid. So, what psychological first aid is? If we start with its history, it started when it started almost in the mid 20th century, when there were disasters and when people knew that a person facing disasters need help of various kinds. Here we are only talking about psychological first aid, uh, which is of course complementary to the first aid itself. The later people who have gone through a trauma, personal crisis, or any kind of uh, mishap, what happens to them? The intervention is required. Apart from the medicine, safety, physical safety, there is psychological dent on the person's mental health. So the purpose is here. The purpose of psychological first aid is not really therapy. It's different from therapy. Therapy is much deeper, much extended, whereas psychological first aid is there and then, here and now kind of an experience. It's a caring a concern. It's kind of a reassurance to the person who is scared. Uh, it's logistic support given to a person who has been through a trauma. Mental health issues sometimes are not visible. These issues, they are uh, but they affect the person. The various individuals who have gone through a crisis, they required vicarious emotional and logistic support. Maybe medicine, maybe food, water. But that's what happens in the uh, arena outside the school. Earlier, people were not, or why earlier, even now, the mental health issues are not so well known to people. People think that those who are quiet, who are not disturbing, they are okay. There's no mental health issues with them. Now, but even the quiet ones, you will be surprised to know, sometimes require therapy, intense therapy. But we are talking about, here, we are talking about PFA. The purpose is to uh, provide, like I said, there and then psychological support. Because right when the person has been through a crisis recently, or is going through a crisis, or is disturbed, that is the time when he or she needs hand holding. He or she may need various kinds of help. Intervention is immediately required. If this intervention is not, the right kind of intervention is not made, then the person's development is affected. The person's cognitive development, emotional development, social development, and sometimes even physical development. And the person will be maladjusted later in life. PFA is an evidence informed approach. I'll not go into the difference of even based or informed, but let me tell you, there is enough evidence that being there with the person, hand holding, which we'll discuss how that hand holding has to be done, the there is a lot of impact on the person, on the person's mental health. Though it is not replacement for the therapy, it is not therapy, but still its effect is quite deep and long, and prevents future future dealing with the traumas, and improves the development and adjustment and coping capabilities of the person. PFA is emotional care and compassion towards those suffering. But how that care and compassion is to be given, if you look at the net, you will find three prominent words. Of course, there are many more words to describe: look, listen, and connect, or look, listen, and support. So it's PFA. If we define only, if we are talking only about PFA, it is look, listen, and support right there. So, what it means, we'll go into it. Now, uh, first of all, let's talk about its relevance to the school. PFA, like I said, originated in traumas, tsunamis, traumas, war zones. So that's where it originated. But after the 9/11, it more intense work was done on PFA, and nowadays its relevance in school is recognized. Now, what the relevance in school, you know, comes from the fact that the students, in fact, a particular author has written that students living in homes where parents are not comforting, parents are not loving, or parents are hostile, or parents are neglecting, or they are not there. The home environment is much more traumatic than it is in the war zones, or it could be in other places. So the uh, purpose of PFA is contact and engagement with the person who is undergoing crisis. It is to provide safety in the school. When I talk about relevance to the school, a lot of children in the school are undergoing situations where their safety is compromised. Uh, I would request you to reflect on, oh, most of the teachers are here. I would request you to, I will not mention kind of experiences, but you can reflect on the kind of unsafe experiences you have come across. Not, I mean, though it's very unpleasant to talk about, the situations of teachers being abused, the students being abused at the hand of teachers, at the hand of seniors, at the cruelty shown, psychological cruelty shown to the students. So all that requires safety and comfort from an adult, particularly the teachers present in the school. So that's a relevance to the school. It is providing sometimes simply logistic support. A child who's been scared, who has fallen, who is sick, may require water, food, medicine. A lot of children, they faint in the school. They haven't eaten. So in those situations, uh, the need is simply to offer these this kind of logistic support. But the problem is mental health issues are not known, and what looks like normal children, quiet children who are the most neglected, could be experiencing most difficulties in their life. Now, as adults, their development will be highly compromised. So it's very important. Now, one author has talked about the school children weeping, worried, and willful. Now, weeping and worried somebody may attend to, but the willful children, people will think they need disciplining, whereas all the three categories are similar. Even the willful are uh, the children who are willful, even they are wanting handling and compassionate care, because their willfulness is a challenge, is a challenge which is emerges from their own discomfort with the could be parents, could be their teachers, could be fellow students, they may have been bullied. So these are symptoms. See, weeping, worried, and willful are symptoms which are totally visible. But there are lots of symptoms which are not even visible and which are totally ignored, which are considered the problem of the student, like lower achievement, fights, irritating behavior, lack of social skills, a child saying stomachache very frequently. So teachers, I'm sorry to say, sometimes we laugh at the child. Oh, that child is like that only. So then emotional breakdowns, disobedience, shouting. So we don't consider that as psychological problems at all. And in India, there is a lot of tolerance also for deviant behavior right from the beginning. So by the time child has come to the school, the child has already developed in a way which is considered maladjusted. And not only that, the child has developed normally according to their own perception, their family's perception. But if you look at their development from the school's perspective, compared with other children, they are disturbing, they are creating problems, so they are considered such. And another very important issue is the teachers are likely to punish a child who is not focusing, who is not attending. It's not that child, see, all children are by and large sufficiently equipped with cognitive ability. The problem is their lack of focus is due to some problem in their physique, in their mind, in their emotions, or in their loneliness, or in their social um, isolation. So let's understand what is it that is creating all these pressures, which we call psychological stress. If stress or what creates distress, you see, the problem is the mental health is like a continuum. Mental health is like a continuum. It is from one end, if there is health, on the other end there is ill health. There could be psychological symptoms, there could be psychological suffering, there could be physical problems which create psychological problem. A child who comes hungry, a child who is abused, who has who is scolded very frequently, a child who cannot complete work because of a lot of pressures at home, because of the kind of situations in the family. It could be a poor family, it could be a rich family. In either kind of family, the child will not be able to complete their work. And such a child, when comes to school, will show their discomfort either in their physical body, in their emotional responses to teachers and fellow students. So somewhere there is disturbance. Now the, the influences are very many, and the result is lack of attention in the school, poor grades, indiscipline, so on and so forth. So the problem is really very alarming and large in schools. And nowadays, to add to some of these problems which were there, there is problem of, like my friends are mentioning here, the media, the mobile, to which we all are addicted very badly, and where the time goes we don't realize. It's a good thing in the sense that if I'm getting bored, if I'm traveling, if I have to bear waiting, my time goes in a jiffy. But for a child, it is it is really disaster. I keep getting cases where the parents throw up their hands. But when the habits were developing at that stage, no psychological aid was available. No parenting was available. So, friends, all this is it results in the biology, in the physique, in the psychology and social, biophysical, socio psychological, whichever way you might put it. There may be earlier predisposing factors as well, but when it goes in the biology, then it's not visible, but it's there in the child's mind. A normal child has plenty of endorphins which make that child or a person happy. But a disturbed child may look like an iceberg. Underneath that iceberg is a huge drag of uh, ice. So in the child's biology, he or she is continuously a very high dose of norepinephrines and other chemicals which are negative. So biologically the child is on a boil, but on the surface he or she may not show it. And then there is physical. These problems then gradually turn into physical problems. The diet is not good, the child doesn't exercise. A young child from about uh, 6 7 to 14, as they grow they need more exercise, more physical work. They should be made to run, they should be allowed to run rather. But nowadays we don't allow them to move around. We think that they should be studying all the times, they should be studying for a medical examination, they should medical course, they should be studying for a um, engineering course, or some other. Some parents even start IAS training right from the 8th class. That's what at least I heard when I was connected with school. Then there are environmental reasons. Look at the air nowadays we are breathing in. It's disturbing all of us. But in the school, when 70 children are herded into a small classroom, the level of oxygen available is much less. So how are children expected to focus? So some of these are physical problems which interact with our biology, physique, and so then there is psychological factors. There is loneliness. There are people all around us, but a child who lacks social skills is lonely. And when we are lonely, all of us know what happens. Unless we are like I said, there are predisposing factors. If I am a person who loves loneliness, then it's fine. Otherwise I feel terrible being lonely. Loneliness is not being alone, it is a feeling inside that I'm not connected to anybody. So connection is another very important uh, indicator of our health. Then the kind of conflicts that are there. I want to pursue science, by my parents want me to become a cricketer, or vice versa. I want to read some books, but my parents want me to study only textbooks. Lack of coping skills in the children is another very area. When where do I learn coping skills? I learn it from my parents. Absent, I learn it from my teachers. They are fighting themselves. They are shouting. Though they may be perfectly healthy human beings, they may be perfectly normal human beings, but when they are in the class, they are modeling what they are modeling. That's what they are learning. It could be in their neighborhood. So they have nowhere to learn coping skills. Then similarly, social, the friends, they can't make friends. They don't have relationships. They don't understand relationships. They don't know how to hold and deepen few relationship, and distinguishing uh, parameters of various kinds of relationship. And of course, resources, we top there, although we are improving, but our resources, our, whether it's financial or personal or knowledge or information resources, there is a problem. So now, so PFA is required at the school level, and like I said, in the words of one of the authors, the the it is this the school children maybe are much in a much heavier crisis sometimes than they are in the war zones. So how do we deliver PFA? What are the principle? What it is? It's, you can't be counselors. I can make you counselors right here. If you are counselors, fine and good, congratulations, work with them. But if you are not, if you are teachers, in one lecture you cannot become counselors. But what can you do? So why this session then? What am I doing here? I'm talking about when a child is in trouble, when a child is on that precipice where he is about to fall down, he's about to become a make or break kind of a scene. Being there physically for the person is very important. Your psychosocial presence is required. It's not merely physical, but your psychosocial presence, your engagement with them, it's highly comforting. And and of course, apart from the resource and logistic support of water, food, medical, whatever, some teachers are, they themselves are very vulnerable. When they see a person in that stage, their own reactions go out of control. But we need people as teachers, those who are gentle, composed, quiet, and calm themselves. So, the principles of FA, those who want to deliver FA or PFA, is that they should not be themselves get ruffled by such scenes. A child commit. I don't want to mention here, but sometimes we make such unfeeling, unhealthy comments in the middle of such. So what needs to be done is, it is just stand with the person, gentle, composed, and uh, the look part. The look part is very important. See, look is not simply looking at. It is, when you look, you could be staring, you could be giving a loving look, you could be giving a evaluative look. So I'll come to that. But when I'm saying looking is whether your look, your involvement is welcome or not. That is very important. So everyone may not even welcome your physical presence. So how do you deliver uh, psychological first aid? See, so what you have to do, you have to work on your own demeanor, work on your own presence, your physical presence. You have to approach the person with a gentleness. With your approaching the person should be, you must have seen a lot of scenes in the films where a person is about to commit suicide, and the person approaches. So the child or adult or whosoever says, don't come near me. So the person gradually stays put, and talks to the person, and gradually the crisis is resolved by a very competent person. But what is required is good communication. It is not only verbal communication, it is physical. It is, so that is the look part. You are how you are looking. So you are, uh, the help cannot be imposed on the person. Until as the person is is accepting help, you can't help, particularly the psychological help. So it is important that you don't impose help, but you approach a very gently, not in a dominating way, not directing way. That's what how Indian adults are, how they approach children or young adults. In children, word should stops around 10, 14, 15, or maybe less. I'm not going into that, but I'm just saying, uh, we also, there are lots of assumptions also. Children don't know anything, they don't feel anything, they are not even aware of how we are looking at them. But let me tell you, they are much more aware than you and I are aware, because we have so many things going in our mind, but in their mind, in their world, we are the most important people. So they are looking at us much closely, and they are the greatest psychologists. I mean, I often, when we do the drawing room conversation, we say, oh, that my child is so smart, he knows what I want. But when we come to the school, sometimes we forget these kind of, uh, or we think that these school children are different from our children. They are both same. They are both same, whatever background they come from. Only thing is, sometimes they may not. So what is required is a warm, confidential, discreet approach to the person. It should be very gentle, and it and what is required is you are following the person. You are not trying to lead the person. चलो 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 उठो, ये करो, चलो अब खड़े हो जाओ. So that kind of a thing is not required in, whether it is physical aid or it is psychological aid. Sometimes, doctors will tell you somebody is going through a heart attack, so they will say, don't make the person stand up, because if you make this person stand up, the heart will have to work harder. So let the person stay where he is and do other things. Similarly, of child who is undergoing a crisis, who is in a violent state, or he's reacting, stay safe away from the person, but not jump onto him. Uh, you have to wait. You have to wait and allow the children their own sweet time to open up. In fact, some of my counselor trainees used to ask me, वो बच्चा तो बोलता ही नहीं है, the child doesn't speak, how do I give counseling to the child? So I would tell them that, so you stay with them. They need time to get sort of to get connected with you, to get connected with you. When uh, when the child is able to trust you, when the child is able to develop that kind of a confidence that this person will not pressurize me, because the pressures, various kind of pressures from parents, from elder siblings, from bullies, from teachers, that's, or a staff in the school, or a peon in the school, that's what has, or the pressure of the work itself has created this kind of emotional reaction. So what is required is not pressuring the child, but waiting for the person to, especially in those situations where the person has gone completely out of hand. Then the um, now what can the teacher do? The teacher must stay calm, quiet, and sensitive to the person, sensitive to the person. The sensitivity is a very important quality that is required uh, in a teacher, in a caregiver, in a counselor. Sensitivity to the person's suffering. You see, the and the assumptions. If you assume that children are just dramatizing, they are posing, they are, it's not, it's not real, then you cannot be, you cannot connect with them. Then there is another very important quality, that is listening. I think we are all very poor listeners, not because we don't care, because this skill, listening is a skill which we don't have, and all of us, and listening uh, requires that I'm free of my own prejudices, biases, preoccupations. If I'm preoccupied with, right now, I'm preoccupied with how am I looking to people? I'm looking smart or not? Is this my image okay? Or am I making an impression? This is the inner noise. Or this room is not warm enough. I'm feeling cold, shivering. If these are my thoughts, then my connection with you is lost. So listening requires I'm totally connected with you. The greater the eye contact, better is the listening. Less is the space, better is the listening. And then my own skills. Listening uh, is not only verbal, it's non-verbal also. And a most important skill is that I am ready to, I'm like I use the word follow, not lead. So mostly when we are listening, we want to lead the person in a certain direction. Whereas listening, true listening, active listening requires that I don't lead. I just allow you to speak. Sometimes, again, in counseling situations, we see that people go on talking for a long time. So that's a skill, to stay focused on the person, to remember. And again, sometimes the students ask, counseling students ask, can I make notes? So I ask them, how will you make notes when you are giving eye contact to the person? So that's what is a very important quality of listening, that you're looking at the person. If you're not looking at the person, half the effectiveness of listening and linking with the person is absent. So you can't make notes, but you have to remember. So what is required in the listening is taking interest in the person. So don't worry about, you will remember. If you are taking interest in the other person, you will remember everything. So one has to remember, one has to listen without interruption. You have to you have to give a pause to the person. The moment person stops, the other person starts speaking, and sometimes both of us start together. That's not right. It takes time to verbalize one's thoughts. If I am disturbed, it takes longer time to express how am I feeling, what has happened to me. Have you seen sometimes when a person has been through a crisis, an accident, or bullied, or has failed, if you ask him what happened, him or her, what happened? So the person is incoherent totally. And even adults are incoherent. A distressed person cannot be precise or clear. So you have to really give time, focus on what the person is trying to say. To begin with, it will be totally jumbled up, incoherent, uh, rambling from the person. But gradually, as you listen to the person, as the person, by talking out, the steam is released. Steam means the pressure is released. When the pressure is released, the person is able to think, articulate, and focus in a better way. Now, when the other person is listening, when the person is attending to you without interrupting, without leading, without judging, an important thing is not judging the person. We are Indians are Asians are very judgmental people. We judge people a lot. We have, because traditionally we have our own traditions. But as the society is evolving, as there is more and more anomy in the social, anomy means when earlier I knew who's staying next to my house, the people coming to my people coming to school or my home, they were people who were from my community, my uh, family setup, broad family or village or whatever you call. So I could assume so many things, but now I can't assume anything about the other person. The person living next to me is a totally different kind of a, coming from a culture. Every family has its own culture, and of course, here a lot of movement is taking place at the state level. Uh, so what happens that we make judgments, and we have our own ways of looking. As an old person, I have been doing things in a certain way, but I have no business imposing on the other person my values, my ethics. Uh, because the other person also comes from an ethical lineage. So, judging, I'm not saying that all behaviors can be accepted, but the person is in crisis, when the person is in a disturbed state, at that time, judgmental thinking is not required. So when a person is so when the person is not is able to develop trust on you, then uh, then it is the time to really question, uh, pose questions about what's wrong with the person, what's wrong with the person. Now the questioning or what is bothering the person, and that is a stage when you can make these kind of queries, or you can start intervening verbally. So well, I'll come to non-verbal a little later maybe, but this is not the forum to be going in details of all the verbal non-verbal skills. And so I will just mention this, and I'll say this another very important aspects that is important in in the context of uh, psychological first aid is the quality of questions. See, questioning is important to know what's the problem. Is a problem in the family, in the school, in the social network? Curiosity. My first question will be, what happened? Why your clothes are torn? Right? That's the mind. If the mindset, a particular mindset will bring a particular set of questions. But if you care, then you will say, oh, what happened? The tone will be different, the content of the question will be different, and your tone itself changes the meaning of your questions. So, quality of questions is important. Questions should be open. Would you like to tell me something? I mean, you need not even ask why your clothes are torn. You can straight away say, want to tell me anything? Something happened. What happened? No. Something happened. Do you care to share? So you are giving the control to the child. For a change, the child feels this is empowering the person. That you have the right to tell about yourself. Tell only that much, what which you want to tell. So this kind of empowerment is right. I'm sure some of you must be thinking. I'm 100% sure some of you are definitely thinking, ये मैडम यहाँ बैठ के बहुत हमको लेक्चर दे रही हैं, जब ये स्कूल में जाएंगी तब इन्हें पता चलेगा. So, friends, I understand your dilemmas sometimes, but when you are dealing with disturbed people, extra Care and caution is required. And I'm not saying do it in a day. The students are with you daily. So if you and first aid is not given one day. Every time the child falls down, you put a band-aid on the child, right? So the child has been falling down in a number of times. He failed the class, nobody talked to him. His parents didn't come to the school, nobody talked to him. The child uh, uh, mm, uh, did some distractions in the school, disobeyed, didn't bring homework, fainted, didn't pay attention in the class. Nobody did anything. But one day, when things went out of hand, how can you start questioning that day about everything that has happened to the class? 14 साल का बनवास रामचंद्र जी एक दिन में तो नहीं बता देंगे ना, right? So give him time, at least 14 days. So similarly, what I mean is a child has been through the mill couple of months before you get to know what has happened to him. So what you need to do? So what needs to be done? Uh, uh, you need to you need to deliver first aid on a regular basis in the classroom, and you have to you have to develop sensitivity among all the staff, not only teachers. Teachers are not the only person who are going to be uh, delivering first aid. There are others, but it cannot be that in the school there are so many aspects. There is a building, there is staff, there is a set of policies, there is a set of people who are interacting, there are parents, so and there are people he or she meets on the way, there are other class. So everywhere you have to make changes. How these will be done, we will come to that. Now, what needs to be done on a regular basis? On a regular basis, uh, how can we ensure that the children uh, will not need first aid every other day? See the activities that see not every child behaves to a trauma in a different way. Some people even survived Holocaust. Some people survived the camps, Nazi camps, and they lived to tell stories of the camps. Whereas thousands of people died there. So among the thousands, there were hundreds who could survive those extreme, torturous. Uh, Similarly, in a family, a child a child or two may be sacrificed, whereas other children survive and go on to become whatever they wanted. And you have several examples. So what we need to do, we have to help children. uh, how do we help? The first thing that is there, which is even included in the counseling these days, it has come to us through the West again, like our yoga, like our Ayurveda, like our several other cultural strengths. They have come via. So breathing is has been introduced as a very authentic kind of a uh, procedure in counseling sessions to connect oneself to one's emotional experience. Now, before I go further, I would like to make an important mention that we for the convenience sake, we in psychology or education or even in general public talk about physical, cognitive, emotional, social, but these are not different. They're See, in our brain they are totally connected. Nowadays people are talking of gut brain. Brain Much more important is gut brain than the brain. If your gut is not okay, your brain will not be okay. So, what does that talk? That our physique is more important? No, they are all important. If one problem arises in one place, problem that spreads to other areas. Emotions affect your cognitive and physical and social. Social affects your cognitive. So what we need to do? We have to work from one end, and it will spread to other end. Like I was saying in the biological, when I was saying our stress is biological, you would be surprised to know there are many of us who stop breathing when we are in the stress. Stress means, even now, see, when you are speaking to people or you are listening to people, you stress is building up because listening requires expenditure of energy. When you are spending energy, it leads to, of course, it leads to enjoyment as well, but even enjoyment builds in stress. I will not elaborate in, I'll leave it to find out how, and reflect upon that. So, breathing, I was talking about breathing. So, simplest way is breathing. Restore your breathing. I'm sure when I said breathing, many of you must have drawn a big, sweet breath. So, that is very, very important that we tell people in crisis to first breathe after having established the trust. But sometimes the other person will laugh at you, but gently, again, the key lies in approaching softly, gently, being calm yourself. When a person views a calm person, the person calms down. So, even a person out to commit suicide, when he or she sees somebody is talking, when somebody is connecting, that person pauses. So, when you have done a connection with the person, then you tell them first thing is to breathe deeply, to do uh, what you call breathing from your abdominal breathing. So that helps, that immediately acts upon your brain. And uh, if you go look up on the chemical reactions taking place in the brain when you are breathing deeply, there is research evidence. It is informed research. I'm not talking about uh, I'm not talking about well, I think I'm talking about hardcore research, and which led many therapists to include incorporate breathing as a very advanced kind of a emotional link, awareness kind of an exercise. So breathing helps, you help the person to breathe deeply. So that itself releases a lot of endorphins, or what is the other thing? Well, endorphins are a set of hormones, you understand, like that. You dopamines, which which calm us down. So you see how important is breathing. That's why the government of India has introduced yoga in our schools. So encourage, allow, and involve children in breathing exercise yoga, which builds resilience in the person. uh, Yogic tradition has its own breathing styles. You will read 4-4-6 breathing, 4-6 breathing. I mean, there are so many different kinds of breathing, but the purpose of these breathing is to bring down bring the sympathetic nervous system, which activates and energizes you beyond to excitement, to violence, to bring it down. All you have to do is help the person to breathe, or just uh, as per the school policy, following the school policy, uh, touch the person, hug the person, but all this as per the cultural tradition, tolerance, and ethical following the ethical norms. So, breathing exercise uh, is a very important way to build resilience. Then there is self awareness and meditation. Self awareness. Now, self awareness and mindfulness. Self awareness, self is a very wide word. Swa or self. When a person is disturbed, first thing that the person loses is awareness of self. Where am I? Who am I? Who am I talking to? Even a person like me, given to anger, totally forgets culture, poise, and education. So, and you must have seen that around you. So, self awareness is very important. Who am I? Where am I? And how am I influencing others? How it affects my future interactions with the person. So, that's kind of mindfulness. There are again lots of activities to build to bring mindfulness. There are lots of exercises. There are three cup principle. Look at what three things are around you, and immediately you are grounded. So look up. There is you have a uh, Google Baba with you. You have a very you the whole world you are carrying in your hands. Unfortunately, neither you yourself sometimes look information on the net, nor you encourage your children. If you show to the children how they can access a lot of positive information on the net, you will be changing their life course. So please, I will leave you with mindfulness. Now, another very important thing is strength part. People, I'm talking about PFA that you can deliver in the classroom on a daily basis. Identifying strengths. So every time I talk about strength part, so people mention strengths and weaknesses or strengths and challenges. I sometimes give in after a little argument. Okay, challenges, yes, when my colleagues are arguing with me. But here, if I begin my statement, I'll say it's identifying strengths. That's how you cool a person down. When you are in the classroom, when you are helping them to grow and develop, please identify their strength. Help them identify, ask them to identify their strength. And let me make this assertion that there is not even one person on this earth probably who don't doesn't have strengths. We have strength, all of us have strengths. And I have seen parents who complain to me, my child is like this, that. They make even such as assertions in the public, but when they are confronted they say, no, he has lots of strengths. So what are the strengths? So please identify, help children to identify strength. Indian parents, Indian teachers, sometimes I'm not against Indians. I love Indians, and we Indians have much more strengths, but let's remember them. So my saying that Indians, we Indians, please don't take it otherwise. Yeah, I am very respectful of India and us and you all, of course. So, but let's recount our strength. Why talk about our weaknesses? When you talk about your strengths, and you will see how your back becomes straight, your chin is up. So talk about strengths, identify strength, and see how much positivity is generated in the classroom. So when children are talking about strengths, they would know what strengths the other has, and they will know what strengths they have to develop. If you focus on weaknesses, you will see the people shrink right there in the classroom. So uh, uh, instead of talking about challenges, we will talk about challenges. The moment you say identify your strengths, if you after listening 10 strengths, you will automatically, the child even will automatically start talking, thinking about their what challenges he has, what he has to work upon. If you tell him about his weaknesses, he will start defending, identifying strength. Seeking support. Sometimes we think that seeking support is a sign of weakness, but smartest people seek support, build teams, but that doesn't mean you are being dependent on others. So explain the difference between seeking support and becoming dependent. In fact, one thing that counseling uh, emphasizes upon is counseling is not help. Aid is not for help. Stay distant. Don't get involved with the person. That's one of the principles, probably I should have emphasized there itself. It's not making the other person dependent on you, it is just supporting the person emotionally, logistically, which is life threatening situation. So in the classroom also, teach children to seek support, but for independence, not for becoming dependent. So seeking support is a sign of strength in a crisis, in problematic situations, and those who survived were the ones who sought support. Then planning, so another way to build resilience is, you know, if those of you who have studied history, I'm sure you have got brought a lot of lessons from history. You know, you those of you who read stories, you will see how uh, how the smart kings used to behave, how smart leaders used to behave. You have to plan for things. Those who are successful, those who don't seem to study, are not the ones who spend a lot of time. Planning is an asset, and uh, but the moment you start saying plans, people say, "Oh, I make plans all the time, but I'm not able to stick to them." Don't worry, you know. Uh, history is full of people who continued, and ultimately they became successful. I don't want to mention any name here. So planning is very important. If your plans are not fructifying, if they are not giving results, plan again, change your plans. And you वो हिंदी में there is a saying, करत करत अभ्यास के जड़मति होत सुजान. सो वैसे तो आप कोई जड़मती है नहीं, बच्चे भी नहीं हैं और हम भी नहीं हैं, लेकिन अगर हैं भी, तो प्लानिंग अगेन एंड अगेन एंड अगेन, we will become experts in plans, making plans, and we will become successful. Planning and setting smaller goals. So, so it is not only for the VIPs in the corporate that plans and goals are required. Plans and goals are required in a child. The child says, I forgot my copy. A very frequent scene in the schools. I did homework, I forgot. Maybe 50% of them are right also. But then we say, Tum bahane banate ho. So why can't we say, so tomorrow you make your bag ready the night before and put your copy, all homework copies in that. Next time again the child comes with an excuse, again you say, the child will learn to make plans. So that's where I say that doesn't require great effort, that requires just a change in strategy. So helping planning yourself, for this also, this behavior also, you need planning, that next time a child is coming with an excuse, how will I behave differently in a planned manner. Setting smaller goals. अभी भी मेरा झगड़ा हो गया बच्चों से, अभी भी I could not help a child. So next time, how will I be different? So like planning, I'm talking about planning at different levels, for teachers to plan their own work, for teachers to plan their own behavior in the classroom. Don't feel bad if your plan go awry. Doesn't matter, you plan again. So teach that to children, to plan. There's so much to be said about planning, but this is such a huge activity for building resilience in children. Then journaling and reflection. See, uh, what is journaling? You know, nobody is perfect. I'm not perfect. I've studied psychology, practice counseling for 50 years. Do you think I'm perfect? Do you think I don't fight with people? Do you think I don't lose temper? Or why talk about me? Talk about Mahatma Gandhi, talk about anyone. we all make errors. We all make errors, but what sets a smart person, a leader, a Mahatma Gandhi, apart, or whichever leader you believe in, our own dear Prime Minister, or any other leader or a model, whosoever, you think they don't make errors? Every one of us makes errors. To err is human, they say. So, but what is the difference? What sets apart is that you view your errors continuous basis, and how that viewing is done. That viewing is done by journaling. At the end of the day, you have to build this habit painfully. Take by taking pains, I mean, not painfully, taking pains. Slowly build this habit. At the end of the day, think about what did you do wrong, what did you do right, or not even that. Just what is the thought that is become obsessive in your mind? उसने मुझको ऐसा क्यों कहा? Usko turn around. We can turn that around and say why it happened to me, how I can avoid it, what can I do next time that such thing doesn't happen to me. That's what is required in journaling and reflection. The next thing is gratitude. A lot of you must be knowing it, practicing it maybe, or teaching it to others. Gratitude therapy. So, those of you who are aware of it very well, continue with it. Those of you who are not aware it, read about it. Join gratitude groups, movements, journal. What is gratitude? Is being happy with I have what I have. It's the same thing as strengths. Why do I keep thinking of what I don't have, what I could not do? So you believe in self torturing. You have number of shovels which you are directing at yourself. So instead, be kind and compassionate to yourself, and talk about your strengths, talk about your positive things, talk about your blessings, and daily basis remind that. Today, right now, if you start thinking about your positive things, even if it is having a nice dress, a good uh, hair, nice voice, looks, or it could be simply that I have good friends, I have good parents, I live in a not in Delhi, outside Delhi, where there is a lot of oxygen. Start thinking about like that, and you will feel happier. So I will not stay here because the net is full of gratitude therapy, gratitude. Please practice, read about it, practice it, teach it to children. And this will be the greatest psychological aid you will be uh, dispersing on a mass basis. And if you do it on a daily basis, you will see that the climate in your school becomes positive. Then self affirmation. You are not doing counseling, but you are simply telling children the ways of becoming resilient to the extent that even crisis doesn't affect them. Self affirmation. Self affirmation is again, you know, uh, repeating to yourself what you can do well, rather than I can do it, I will do it, I want to do it, whichever way you want to put it. So give the examples of self affirmations continuously. Tell children to hunt for ways to self affirmation. Instead of saying I can't leave mobile, can I say for a day I can set a mobile aside for 5 minutes? You start with 5 minutes, you will see that you will gradually leave it for an hour. But you say that I can't leave it, you will never leave it. So self affirmations are very important. Write a set of self affirmation. Help children give examples. This is this. I'm not saying one thing I forgot to say. I think, and this is a very important thing I must say. I'm a forgetful person, but I remembered it. That as a teacher, You would think that here she is dishing out a lot of imperatives. Ye karo, wo karo, ye karo, wo karo. But you need not, this, I don't want to add to your burden at all. You are English teacher, you teach them writing sentences right from class 6. Please help them write self affirmations, help them write gratitude, help them write a journal, help them write reflections, one sentence reflection, one word reflection, one word gratitude, one sentence, one para, 2 pages. The child will write a whole book on gratitude, reflection, and self affirmation. Integrate all this kind of psychological aid in your classrooms. That is the relevance of psychological aid for school. You can imbue all experiences of the school. उनको डुबा दीजिए स्कूल के सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस में साइकोलॉजिकल एड को डुबा दीजिए फर्स्ट एड social modeling. What is social modeling? You can help teacher, the child says मेरे पास ये नहीं है, मैं ये नहीं कर सकता, मुझे वो नहीं आता, मैं इसमें फेल हो जाता हूँ. तो ask them, कौन कर सकता है, उसको देखो वो क्या करता है, करती है, तुम क्यों नहीं कर पाती, देखो कौन कर पाता है. You can give examples, you can show them models. And this again, this is a research informed practice, and this is a standard way in one of the techniques of counseling. You can use it. You may not become full-fledged counselors, but by doing that, I'm not saying that by doing that you will become counselors, please. That's I'm not saying, but this is a technique you can use in your classroom, in your teaching. When we talk about Chandragupta, how Chandragupta, with the help of Chanakya, he when we give example of a certain person from a film down, from history, from fiction, we're all talking about social modeling. So you can help children look for their favorite characters from history, and wherever, you know, and um, develop model. Do I wind up now? mm, I have few more slides. See, coping strategies of. Do tell me when I must stop. Coping strategies. As teachers, I'm giving you a lot of work to do on yourself. Of course, our teachers are very patient, very smart, and very competent teachers. In But then, while working with children with difficulties, with such a population, whether it is in tsunami, after tsunamis, or in war zones, or when there is crisis strikes the school, or on a regular basis children's psychological problems, the teacher's uh, mm, own psychological makeup is affected. They become vulnerable, they become stressed out, psychologically stressed. So their own coping strategies are very important. As a teacher, as a doctor, as a therapist, all of us must remember that exercise, rest, diet, relaxation is equally important for us. So, on a regular basis, we must practice that and model that for others. Then, planning, setting goals to increase our confidence, our relationship building, and seeking support. We should also do self compassion is very important. If you couldn't do something, by all means, practice, be compassionate yourself, forgive yourself, and forgive others who are making errors. Problem solving and conflict resolution is a very important part. Develop problem solving capabilities and conflict resolution. Solve your conflict with your boss, with your colleagues, with children, and learn to say, and this requires a number of skills. I will not go into those skills. Think about those skills. If you have to join a group, join a group. If you want to read it on the net, please go ahead and do that. Now, some now another very important thing is See, I said in the beginning, the psychological first aid is about look. क्या है वो? Look, I forgot the other word, and last word was connect. Hmm? Uh, Look, no, link was last. Uh, anyway, let's talk about linkages. We will come to the middle word later. Linkages and connections. See, any school, any counselor, any teacher on their own cannot deal with all the problems. uh, look, listen, and connect. So we talked about looking part, how to look, how to approach. We talked about the listening part. Now we are coming to the linkages and connections part. I'm sorry for forgetting that middle word, but linkages. So a school has to first uh, create synergy, not leave it to one teacher. On a continuous basis, they must create their own resource network. For instance, the teachers expressing their own skills, teachers together building their own skills, sharing their own strategies, that empowers teacher. That makes the whole group feel that yes, we have so many qualities in us, we have so many strategies with our colleagues which help. Then a network is created with a counselor, with a principal who is with them, and a march. They together create a march synergy. They synergize and energize each other. When we hand holds with each other, then yes, we have our differences, we have our professional differences, we may have our personal differences, we have all kinds of differences, but can we come together for a good cause? I think, I'm sure all our teachers will say yes. So please come together and empower yourself by seeking support of your colleagues in this psychological first aid. Parents and local community must be together. Wherever I go, whenever I talk about parenting and parents, the first question I'm asked is how to get parents to the school, and my pet answer is be respectful, be warm. So teacher says, no, yes, we are very respectful, we are very warm, in fact, towards students also. So when I say, how will you be respectful? We tell teachers, we are with you, we want to help the child. Please help us, please come to the school. I said, that is not help. That is not respectful. When you are telling, that is not respectful. What is respect? Let me go back to the listen part. Listen. When parents come, ask them, you have something to tell us about your child? You have something to tell about your own? So don't ask all parents in one single day. I am a counselor, I listen to people, and I know such a taxing exercise to listen to people. It's highly taxing, but you can listen to different parents on different occasions. Listening to one parent will give you the strength to listen to many parents and will know what's wrong where, and to devise and to plug in your therapies in the right way. So, connecting connecting parents with yourself, with school, and developing a local community is very helpful. Seek social worker, a counselor, have some hospital specialist and others on your team. So this kind of linkages and connections are very important. Lastly, I will just a number of a number of problems have been specifically mentioned, though it is not in the purview of this session to deal with all such problems like ADHD. People said how to deal with ADHD, how to deal with violence, aggression, and somebody even wrote a question, uh, how to deal with um, this mobile addiction or digital addiction. So these are these are very, very specific kind of things, but I will give a kind of a rule of thumb or generalized suggestions, or generalized whatever you say, generalized techniques that can help them. You see, when you talk to a person who is violent, you have to speak very precisely and clearly, slowly, softly, slowly, precisely, looking at them in the eyes. Don't keep safe distance from a violent person. Protect yourself first, but help them focus on you. They will not focus because like told you in the biological section, that a violent person's mind is not in their control. It is totally taken up by the sympathetic system, which is independent, which is not in my control, which when I'm guided by my heartbeat, my stomach contractions, my lung movement, they are not in my conscious control. So when a person becomes violent, all these are heightened. It is kind of a dangerous situation for me. So I danger में I focus खत्म हो जाता है. So help them focus. Whether it is same goes for ADHD children. They cannot focus. So help them focus. They need special referral to the counselor. They need therapy. But as a teacher also, you can take some precautions. You can focus, you can give them specific directions, you can motivate with positive words, you give them smaller tasks and goals, so that helps. See, teachers ethical responsibilities are important. They have to fulfill the emotional needs, whatever may be the pressures. The school climate must be created in a right way. Support system and referral, these are important issues. I think with that I will close. I will end it with, please take good care of your own mental health. Please practice. And one last important, please set boundaries. How much, and show this to children by modeling how much is important, what you can do, what you can't do, how much goals you should keep, how you should practice, and small goals will lead to larger goals. Setting boundaries, these are some issues which you need to read about yourself, incorporate in your own personal habits, and model it for children. With that, thank you very much for listening to me patiently. I'm sorry I exceeded a little bit, but uh, and now let me look at some of the questions we have already received. And academic behavior change seemed difficult as a teacher. Aligning academic behavior change seems difficult as a teacher. This is one question. It will appear as a mountainous task, uphill task. But if you take it, yesterday we were talking about few things like career. Sometimes when I ask teachers why children come to school, a lot of teachers, a lot of students, a lot of even counselors, they say uh, some of the frequent and funny, not funny, I will say uninformed. I'm sorry, it's not funny, it's uninformed. Answers are अपना जिंदगी बनाने, देश की मदद करने, वगैरह वगैरह. See, children come to school first thing for career, for getting educated and making their career. That's a foremost concern of the parents. So, and when there's a career foundations are laid right from childhood, prenatal stage is in you, not in your control, so you can't do anything there. It is laid down there, but you can't do anything about it. You start when the child comes to school. Now, some of you will ask me, what can we do at that stage for career building? What you can make them help, you can make their habits. Because these are not things that you can handle in a way. Make them part of your school culture, that children will must be made responsible, children must be they must be taught to make. Now if your children are having uh, academic difficulties, their academic behavior is problematic, then refer to them to a counselor or talk to them politely yourself. If you don't have time, then make them sit in the groups, ask them about their career goals, because every time somebody talks about career problem, academic problems, what is missing in this child's life is lack of a goal. If a children If children have a goal, and if it is prominent in their mind, if it is playing in their mind, all their behavior is aligned to it. So, ma'am, जिसने question, those who have asked this question, please start slowly. Please don't become panicky. If your children are not studying, gradually ask them, and giving positive motivation is very important, helping them strengthen. Sometimes I even say, if a child is getting 30% marks, don't say, I often ask, how much you will get next time? The child says 70%. I say, no, not 70%. 30 से 70 लाना बहुत मुश्किल है. So what you should do, कितने ला सकते हो बताओ? 40. कैसे लाओगे? So sometimes questioning is much better technique. So questioning, strengthening, motivating the child, but not with false words, not with false promises, but with genuine concern and genuine questions. Helpful questions, questions to seek information, questions to know their mind, not to tell them. That's all I can say for now, apart from what I have already said. Uh, what to do when a child has a panic attack in the classroom? First of all, remove the child from the class, because the more the crowded, the panic will be more. Take the child away, gradually take the child away, or send the children away, whichever is possible. When the child, or at least if both the things are not possible, then tell children not to attend to the child politely, and make this child comfortable. Let the child breathe, ask the child to breathe deeply, help the child, ask the child, offer water, let the child accept it on its own. You should offer, don't make the horse to drink water, offer water. And or if ask if child needs anything, whether child want, ask the child, don't inform the parents of the child, ask the child whether he or she wants the parents to be informed. So gradually, when sit with the child, if he or she wants to hold hands. If it's a female teacher, as per the policies of the school, if you want to hug the child, you can hug the child, you can sit close to the child. If the child wants to come closer to you, allow the child to come. So those are some of the things that you can do. Tell the child to breathe. Speak very gently. Don't panic. Don't run. प्रिंसिपल को बुलाओ, इनके पेरेंट्स को बुलाओ, क्या हो गया, मैंने कल भी कहा था. These are some of the reactions from vulnerable teachers. So immediately, take control of your own emotional reaction. Gently, softly do that. Okay, then dealing with a stubborn child not listening after talking with love. Uh, I don't know what do you mean talking with love? A stubborn child is one who have stopped trusting people around him, especially adults, because sometimes we adults are very unfair. I may not be unfair, but another adult has been unfair. So that take care that you do not impose on the child. A stubborn child, sit with the child. That's what, as a counselor, we do. Allow, gently ask the child whether he or she wants something, whether they want to go home, whether they want to sit separately. Allow the child in a supervised manner to sit quietly. Leave them alone, supervised. Don't force them to do things. And gradually you will see, and speaking gently, would you like to tell me something? Tell it when you want to. If you behave like that, don't love the child. The child is not receiving your love. When I have, if I give love to a person I have fought with, they don't receive my love. Sometimes, uh, inadvertently, as an administrator, sometimes I have to issue a notice to a teacher, or a child, or to a child or a student. They stop listening to me. Then I have to leave them alone. After a while, they come back to me. And this is practice based uh, tip I'm giving you. how to make teachers understand the importance of counseling by talking to them, by asking them what do they do, what works. When they will tell you what works is listening. What ask them how you brought the child around. They will tell you that मैंने उसको डांटा मारा, कितने लोगों को ऐसे समझ में आ गया. वन टीचर टोल्ड अस, मैं तो बच्चों को मारता हूँ और बिल्कुल ठीक हो जाते हैं, और देखिए आज मेरे बच्चे कहाँ कहाँ पहुंचे हुए हैं. कितने बच्चे पढ़ लिए मैथ्स ऐसे करके. So then the person realized, and that person in one of the training programs said in front of 100 people, I was very angry person. I used to beat children. I used to beat even my wife. I used to think I am doing good to them, but I accept that I used to do wrong. So those people who who don't believe in counseling will believe gradually. So then ask them to read, give them information. See, changing people requires one thing and only one thing, that is information giving, need based information. You ask the need. If they don't need your counseling, they will not come to you. So create the need. How you create the need, I mean, I can't go into details of all these, but ask them to read about counseling. ask them to read about Ask them to read the amount of literature on counseling. And yes, and some of the I was in a interactive session yesterday, and when I shared some of my marital counseling experiences, and when I said been able to send at least a handful of girls who have left their homes because of marital conflicts back to their place, and of course help some people decide also on divorce, both the things. But more girls were sent back to their marital homes. Then I got 2 3 queries that I want to refer counseling cases to you. So what information that counseling works, that's what will prove to people that counseling is important. So you have to keep making efforts. Now, digital de-addiction, lot of people are asking. I mean, I'm saying what I have to say, but as an answer to this question, this cannot be uh, solved. This problem cannot be solved. A lot of cases we receive because of the digital de-addiction, and a lot of children are destroyed because of this. A lot of very good children. So what needs to be done? So first thing is uh, discipline. What kind of discipline? First of all, sacrifice and discipline. Two things I'm saying. As a parent, do some modeling for the child. It's difficult, very difficult, but you have to do for your child. Uh, you fix a time when the whole family will leave their mobiles away. So that's one thing. These are strategies I can tell you. There are no methods here. Child rearing and child development, teaching, they have no methods. There are strategies as per the person, as per your relationship, as per your expertise. So if one parent comes to me, I may be successful, another parent, I may not be successful, because things have got spoiled to such an extent. So de-addiction requires that you make sacrifice as a parent, then you put disciplining practices in place, give tell the child, help the child develop goals. You see, have a positive channel working, and have a discipline channel working. Align your rewards for the child to this behavior, that you will not get any reward from the parent. So there are many more strategies, like uh, help the child. Sometimes even the children themselves listen much more than the parents. Tell children device they are using, tell them to use tell them to look up sometimes information on their career also. I remember one parent came to me with this kind of problem, and within no time the child was cured. This girl was very, very intelligent. She was getting addicted to, she had just started getting addicted to mobile. So I told her, what do you want to do in life? She said, I want to become a uh, IS officer. I said, oh, really? Do you know how to become an IS officer? She said, no. I said, there is a lot of information on the mobile. So why don't you look up? She that girl started with the mobile. I let her do that. So she was sitting in front of me and doing this. I said, "Are there papers also on it?" She said, "No, I can't." I said, "Somebody knows this thing." So her mother rang up. This was a very brief encounter, and her mother, only for an hour or two, we chatted. And her mother later on rang me up, and I asked her specific feedback. She said the girl is now addicted to the IS question papers. She is developing her general knowledge because the it was written that general knowledge is very important. This was some years back, and the girl is watching, reading newspaper, and she had a goal now, the girl, because she was in early stages. So similarly, you have to set the goals with some children. Set the goals for watching TV or whatever digital device you are using. Supervise them. Ensure supervision. You know, one parent told me, "हमने सारे मोबाइल ले लिए, but that मेरा my son takes her grandmother's mobile." So like that, there are the children find ways. Or one parent said, मेरा बच्चा टीवी देखने के लिए दूसरों के घर में चला जाता है. So sometimes parents, so one parent, all I had to say was, in a counseling situation, तो कुछ आप अपने बच्चे के लिए कुछ कर सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं वो बता दीजिए. So the parent said, हाँ मैं उसको दूसरे के घर जाने से नहीं रोक लूंगा. So, and that parent never came back to me, and I heard from the person who had brought that child is much better. He or she has started going to school. So TV is not the problem. Problem is the disciplining, surrender of the disciplining practice of the parent, saying that हम नहीं कुछ कर सकते. So that you have to assert your. But that's not the all. There's much more. Hmm. Making balance between parents and school administration as a have informed they need counseling, both the parents and child, but school and parents keep
Blaming each other.
keep blaming each other. But first thing I will say that please, don't get disheartened. uh, Please be compassionate to yourself and keep your mental health intact. Because yesterday in session, one girl started crying. She said, "I give first, I try to encourage my students, but other teachers say this is not your role. Why do you do that?" And she was so stressed that she started crying. So yeah, sometimes we come across such situations when what we are doing is right thing, but others stop us from doing that. So, in such situations, seek support of your fellow counselors, like you are doing now, and ask your counselors what do they do. And sometimes, why the parent, sometimes, uh, I will again repeat the words like uh, respect and warmth, caring concern. How you can express that for the principal, for the parent is very important. Maybe you will be able to bring about change in them. Caring concern, the principal, maybe she herself is having beset with problems, personal, official, administrative, and maybe she doesn't like something in your own behavior. Maybe, so I would request you, please reflect on yourself, your relationship, and don't take it otherwise. You may be a beautiful person, you may be very competent person, but sometimes we have those angularities, including me, which prevent us from connecting with a certain kind of people. But when they are our bosses, we have to learn to modify and um develop that kind of a flexibility in our personality that we are able to work with. And I don't know whether you are a young person or experienced person, but as a young person, there many times there are a lot of interactive etiquettes, well, not etiquettes, interactive skills, especially in an official setup. Or you have to view your overall behavior in the school. uh, mm, Please don't take it as a blame. I'm just identifying for the whole entire group certain arenas where work can be done. There are many more. Please reflect on that. What works for you?
Major questions.
How do schools deal with parents who try to cover their child who was found indulged in certain act like film material, matchboxes? Uh, youth bomb to school and it takes him in the school building. There are two strategies for that. One is uh, having safety and security procedures in place. If you think that your school children are doing that, most important thing is to have safety security procedures in place, in the sense that uh, be very careful and instruct the teachers, if it is possible, to have cameras uh, in the school, and especially be careful of those spaces in your school which are uh, blind spots. Sometimes these children who indulge in relationship issues, they find these places very safe, and so these threatening also. And these children, they are not aware of, and talk to them what happens when they do things like that. Ask them. They were, and as a counselor, have very strict rules sorry, as a counselor, I will suggest important disciplining strategies. Have very strict rules in place for such children, that such things will be reported to the police, and they should be reported in case the child has committed such an act. Because and tell send a circular, issue guidelines, that it will be the responsibility of the parents. In recent circulars and in recent some of these cases, the Supreme Court has, while they have issued an order on the mental health uh, facilities, mental health interventions available in the school, and they have emphasized that schools and teachers take responsibility. They have also issued, they have also ruled that for minor children, the parents will be responsible if they give car, and if the accidents happen because of the child driving, the who will be held responsible? Parents. So similarly, in these cases, issue circulars that it is parents responsibility, that what kind of things child has been bringing to the school. So have penalty, put penalty, reasonable, not to penalize. The attitude should be in place, proper attitude, that it is not to penalize parents, it is to strictly ensure safety, security, concern of the children, and development of the children. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, CBSE and Neha ma'am. And thank you all the participants for your question, for your trust in me, that I will be able to give you answers to your question. I'm sorry I have not been able to take everything. That's all I could pack in this 1.5 hour session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pant ma'am. On behalf of CBSE, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Dr. Daya Pant for this motivational session. It has given us valuable insights on how to create a school environment that is supportive, caring, and resilient. The ideas shared, grounded in compassion and good research, have helped us better understand how to promote the mental well-being of both students and educators. It's not only strengthens our work but also supports the development of healthier and more connected school communities. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our respected Chairman Sir Shri Himanshu Shri Rahul Singh and Secretary Sir Shri Himanshu Gupta for his unwavering support and encouragement, which made this valuable session possible. A big thanks to all the participants for their enthusiastic attendance. We hope you found this session both useful and engaging. Thank you.